Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Interview with a Raptor. I
With the
am
raptor?
Jesse Kerns. What did I say? What did I say?
Do you say interview
Did I
with
say
a
Raptor?
raptor, like Velociraptor, Jurassic Park?
I changed it. That's what you are now.
Okay.
With a rapper. Why did I say that? Oh, I think I know why.
Okay.
I think it has to do with what I'm about to ask. So anyway, this is Interview with a Rapper. I'm Jesse Kerns, and this is Ryan Uptown Upton. I was gonna.
Back.
I paused for you to do the fingers.
Yeah, that's
For
my
you to give
thing.
the fingers. So to start out this episode, before we jump into the songs, we are going to play a game of Would You Rather, and there's 5, and we're both going to answer them. I've picked 3. Ryan Uptown Upton. I'm just going to do the whole thing every time.
Okay.
Not really. Has picked 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, Ryan, would you rather be covered in fur or covered in scales?
I was looking at that question.
For you?
Okay, let me think about that right quick. All right, I have my answer. Do you have your answer?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I guess you guess what I would do first.
Oh, right. I think you would choose scales.
Wow. You, sir, are incorrect. I chose fur. Now I'll give
Why?
my reasoning. Okay, I'll give it now. And you can't change your answer, obviously, based on my logic. But anyway,
Okay.
I'm thinking one, if it's scales, I'm thinking I might be too scary for like little kids or whatnot. And if I wasn't already married, the chances be slim. But then here's the thing: with fur, either one of two things: either I'm gonna be adorable with fur, or I can just shave it and just constantly shave it and be somewhat on the normal side.
So you could be like one of those naked cats.
That's not exactly how I envisioned it, but sure. Okay, so I'd say fur for you.
Yes.
But
Why
why?
did you think that? Why did you think?
Don't put me
I
on the
didn't. I
spot.
bet your reasoning is. I bet you know my reasoning, and that's your reasoning too.
Okay, one, you're halfway there already.
That's exactly the words I was going to use. I was going to say I'm pretty much there. Those of you who don't know me and are just looking at this, you can see a little bit of this here and here, but I'm a very hairy man.
But it just seems more fitting to your personality than scales. So
Yeah, that's definite. See, I thought the scales for you would be like a video game. I don't know.
masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that would be what you would choose. But yeah, I was like, I'm basically covered in fur as it is. You're welcome, everybody
But
watching.
hey, man,
For the
hey,
imagery.
if I go a day without lotion, I'm basically already covered in scales. So I'm halfway there.
Oh man. Okay. So we both want to be furry, if we had to be.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, so I'm
But
gonna hit you with
yours.
mine. I got
Oh, right.
two. One serious, one silly. I'm gonna go with the serious one first. So bring us back down a little bit. Would you rather be in jail for a year or lose a year off of your life? Be in jail for a year or lose a year off of your life?
Am I guessing
I'll
you
just,
first, or you?
um, let me make my decision first. Goodness.
Oh.
Uh, okay, I think. Whew, I think I got my answer. That's a tough one, but I think I got my answer. But I think you, Jesse, would rather take a year off of your life? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Explain.
Because I don't want to be locked up. I like to, even if I don't do anything, I like to know that I can. And I'm not one of those people who's like, I want to live to be 100. I'm like, I've already lived, quite a while. So I'm like, I guess part of it too depends. Like, it would be hard not like, because I say that, think I'm going to live like this long, healthy life. But if it's like, you would have died at 32, and I'm 31 now, so it's like, and I'm dead. So I guess that might change my decision a little bit. But just assuming that I would live to be, I don't know, 70 or 80, I'm like, that's, 70 would be like another 40 years. That's longer than I've lived now. It's like, I'm not trying to live to be super old. So.
All right. That's a good answer. And I feel like that's the right answer. But
you don't feel like that's the right answer?
No, I feel like it is the right answer, the better answer. But I went ahead and did a year in jail, man. I don't know why. Oh, you were supposed to guess mine.
I know. I was like, are you about to tell me your answer?
What were you gonna guess?
I was gonna guess a year off the end of your life.
Okay. So you would have been wrong. Thanks for being honest. Again. Okay. Honestly, my reasoning, I don't know, man. I guess my logic was kind of like, you never know what you can accomplish with that one extra 365 days. Even though it's kind of, you can look at it like that jail time takes that 1 year away from you, so it kind of evens out. But at the same time, you just never know, man. You just never know what you might accomplish in that year, where relationships might unfold in that year. I don't know. That was my original logic. So,
well, I ain't accomplished much this year. So if it's a year like this year, then it ain't gonna do much.
Somebody is getting married. So
who?
So you. So all right. So
yeah, I guess
me.
Don't let my fiance see this.
Right.
What'd you say?
I said 2 me, 0 you.
Yeah.
All
okay.
Right.
I feel like this one's not going to be as clear cut.
Okay.
Would you rather have to fart loudly every time you have a serious conversation, or have to burp after every kiss?
I have my answer. Yeah, I have my answer. You have yours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess go ahead and guess mine.
Burp after every kiss.
Yeah. I feel like that one's easier for me because I'm like, I guess I'm thinking the context. I've been married 9 years already. I mean, it's just whatever. Come get this.
What I have to look forward to.
Hey, yep. Yep. So that one was kind of easy for me because I'm thinking like conversations, that's professional, that's out in work, that's out in public, that's at church, that's anytime I have a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nah, at least my kissing is in the privacy of my home between me and my wife, and she loved me anyway, so that's an easy one for me.
I thought you were about to say, at least my kissing is good enough that it would just cancel it out. And I'm like, well,
that too.
Somebody's really. I thought you're about to like rate your kissing skills and be like, and that would cancel out any burp that I would. I'm like, okay.
All right. I'm gonna say the same for you, the burp.
Yep. I think yeah. Well, I think for those watching, my fiance and I have known each other for quite some time. So we're kind of at that stage too, where it just kind of be a laugh it off thing. But I never have any gas at all, so neither one would even be possible for me.
Okay. We'll take that lie. Okay. All right. Since we're talking about farts, would you rather have your breath smell like a bad fart or have your laugh sound like a fart? Man. Mm. Wow. All right, I have my answer. Do you have your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a tough one. I say, Sir Jesse, that you would rather have your breath smell like a fart.
No.
Oh, my first strike. My first strike. Explain.
So I think like if my breath smelled like a fart, that would be like offensive to people, like they wouldn't want to be around me. But if my laugh, especially the way I laugh, sounded like a fart, like that would just be like hilarious. And since it's like a laugh and not just like me talking, like,
Yeah.
you know, if it was like, so then it, like if I'm laughing, then it's not a serious moment. So it's not like it's going to disrupt that. So I think I would choose that.
Okay.
And then for you, I think the same.
The same.
Uh-huh.
3 strikes,
What?
you're out.
Are you
I'm
kidding
going.
me?
All right. So here's the thing. I love to laugh, man. I laugh too much. I laugh in public. And I just think, like, okay, so I knew one of my best friends, his sister has this weird laugh, bro. I'm talking about, I remember being out. And if you're watching this, hey, it is what it is. But we were at IHOP. And dude, she just could not stop laughing. And it sounded worse than like a pig snort times 10 times Stephen Urkel. It was just bad, bro. To the point where it wasn't funny anymore. It was just like embarrassing. It was that bad. And so I don't know. I just think about that. I'm like, as much as I like to laugh, that would be just too annoying. But so I'm gonna stick with my answer. But it's on second thought, man. The breath thing. It's a catch-22. On one end, I'm mostly here by myself, especially during the pandemic. So even for work, I don't have to be around people if I had the bad breath as
For
much.
now.
For now, true. But then on the flip side, hey, wearing these masks exposes all your breath situations. So I'd be killing myself. That would be the struggle. But hey, I'm gonna stick with my answer.
Did I ever tell you about my mom's hang up on the word fart?
A little bit. I know she did not encourage the use of that word in your home.
No, she didn't let us say it. Like she still won't let us say it. It's like a bad word. And I had a friend, and I might have already told you the story, but I had this friend this one time, and she came over and she said, I don't know, something fart. And we were in our 20s, our early 20s. And she said something fart. Mom goes, now we don't say the F word here. And she goes, oh, no, I didn't. I said fart. And she goes, yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she's like, what, really? So we leave after we were watching a show or something. So we leave and we get in the car and my friend goes, fart. Oh, my gosh, I've been holding this in all night.
Awesome. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Mama Jessie though. Mama Jessie is a G. She watched the entire listening party, the visual album with Jessie. So shout out, and she's a prayer warrior. So don't say the F word around her.
She'll be glad that I have all the lyrics to the songs now. That was her one complaint because we always have to have the closed captioning even when she's watching TV.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I need the lyrics put on the closed captioning. I'm like, it's not gonna have closed captioning, Mom.
To make some lyric videos just for her. All right.
Okay. Is it you now?
Nope, it's on you. Last question, I believe.
Okay. I thought this was appropriate for you. Ryan is a very good artist. And so would you rather have everything you draw become real, but be permanently terrible at drawing, or be able to fly, but only as fast as you can walk?
I have my answer. Do you have your answer?
Yes.
Okay. Ask away. Or I guess what would you believe that I would choose? Yes, guess away.
Um, Permanently terrible at drawing, but everything you draw is real.
I take too much pride in my art, man. Artists are sensitive about our art. I can't be a terrible at drawing, man. That's taking a part of me away.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. I guess my logic was like, I guess the way I had it set up in my mind was like, for some reason that if you chose the other one, then you couldn't draw at all. But I guess that's not true.
So what was the second option on that again?
To be able to fly, but only as fast as you can walk.
That's
so I think in retrospect, I would choose that because for some reason in my mind, I had it set up that like if you chose that one, then you'd never be able to draw again. But so I kind of took into account that, but just in the wrong way.
Okay.
Hang my head and say, man, I'm bad at this.
That's all right. Did I guess? I didn't guess for you.
You didn't guess.
You would rather fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the convenience of it. That's just a cool, even if it is at a walking pace, like, look at me, sucker.
I can fast. I can just get over everybody.
Right. So.
Okay. So would you rather, Ryan really knows my brain. He is he did have a psychology major in his undergrad. So and I was a music major. As you can see, it was a terrible mistake. Because I can't guess Ryan's mindset for would you rather. All right, so we're jumping into the next 3 songs. The next song up is Game Over. Now, this was one of the videos that you released prior to actually releasing the album and all that. It's kind of a teaser single video thing. And so you had it's very sports driven. We were kind of talking about in the last episode how that's kind of melded into kind of hip hop rap culture along with cars, and it's actually sports, even though we did Mortal Kombat and that was like video games. So kind of tell us kind of what made you go this direction. Did you start with wanting to do a sports kind of theme for the song, or did that just kind of come into play?
I think it kind of fell into play a little bit. Like a couple things. Like I know on some level I had like the track order and the themes for a lot of my songs for the album written out before I even had the songs written. So some of them, not all of them. But I knew that I think I knew or had decided already that this song will come after Immortal Kombat. And so on some level, it was sticking with kind of the, like Immortal Kombat was like the video game theme as far as competition is concerned. And then now it's like, okay, I'm gonna flip the sports analogies. So if you've watched the first 2 episodes, you know I'm all about analogies and metaphors, right? So, when I was rapping in high school, this was before I was a Christian. In the early 2000s, man, there was just a huge emphasis on wordplay when it came to lyricism. Like all the best rappers or most respected lyricists were those who mostly could use clever wordplay and clever metaphors, right? And again, with sports just being so tied into the culture, it was like it's a no-brainer. Like even if I didn't have a whole song dedicated to like just the whole sports analogies, there were gonna be sports analogies in my lyrics, just because that's just, it's almost like it's part of the craft, it's part of the sport of rapping is, hey, let's tie in. I'm gonna help you understand this concept better by bringing in this sports analogy, because most guys that listen to rap happen to also be sports fans, not all the time, but usually enough to get the references, right? And so, going from Immortal Kombat to, okay, but now here's this theme of, I want to talk about, man, Christ is returning, and there's part of that assurance of victory is already won in Christ, right? And so it's somewhat playful, using all the sports analogies, but also very serious and affirming. Is like, if you're on the right team, you're gonna win, you're gonna celebrate, and we're all good because our star player, our coach, our captain, is that guy. But if you're on the wrong side, if you're the opponent, it's going to be a bad look for you when he returns. So, so just between the placing and the order of the album, and then just wanted to use the craft, man. Just kind of an ode to hip hop lyricism.
Okay, because that was going to be my next thing. So it's game over, but like the hook is like, who got the rock? Look at the clock, then look at the score. Game over. And I was like, so is game over a good thing? I guess it's a good thing if you're winning.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, for me, I'm like, game over is a bad thing. But I guess maybe that's more in the video game realm.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. So game over, like basketball, right? You think about hitting like Jordan, hit Kobe. The clock's ticking down, right? It's fourth quarter. This is for the championship, for the trophy, for the ring, for all that comes along with winning a championship. Everything's on the line. You're down by 2 points, and the clock is ticking. 10, 9, 8, 7. Like as a kid, as an athlete myself, growing up, we dreaming of that moment of like taking a game-winning shot and making it to win the championship and just call it game over, right? And so in that context, it's a good thing, again, if you're on the winning team, right? And so, and then the hook, like you said, I said, who got the rock? Well, in basketball or football, the rock is the ball. But within Christian theology, or in church world, we often refer to Christ as our rock. God is our rock. He is our savior. And so again, play on words. Who has the rock? If you got do you have the rock? In other words, are you in Christ? Do you have Christ in your life? If so, you're on a winning team, right? So again, just play on words.
Layered.
Yes, sir.
So who's your favorite team? Your favorite basketball team?
LeBron James.
Okay. Well, because I was going to ask who your favorite player was next and bring up that controversy.
Same difference. I'm a bandwagon. I'll say this. If Kansas City had a professional basketball team, I'll be rocking with them. But since we don't, my favorite team is whoever LeBron James is playing for. So right now, the Lakers are champs, so I'm rooting for the Lakers.
So you're just a fair weather.
Yep.
I'm my favorite whoever is winning. Okay, so
go Chiefs.
Switching into more, what?
I said go Chiefs.
Repping the
It's actually a Royals hat, but
it's a Royals hat.
Yeah, it's a red KC Royals hat.
That's different.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we're getting more serious. I've been really anxious to talk about this one. We're moving on to Two Rivers. What are the Two Rivers, or where did that name come from?
Okay. So right off the bat, man, so this is definitely a serious turn. Two Rivers was literally the name of a psychiatric center that at the lowest point in my life, deepest, darkest valley in my life, I was admitted at an inpatient psychiatric facility, and it was called Two Rivers. When I was writing this song, I didn't realize it, but they are actually no longer open. And that has to be a fairly recent, they must have closed within the last 5 years, if not less than that. But yeah, there was a dark time in my life where anxiety, depression, and we're talking about like actual diagnostic, like the real deal depression and anxiety on a very, very real level that at the time I did not have a grip on whatsoever. And it got to that point where going from, again, being an athlete, I was on basketball scholarship. I graduated from Sumner Academy, one of the top 100 high schools in the nation academically. I went from that, having a scholarship, to landing myself in Two Rivers Psychiatric Center within a year's time of being in college. So, yeah, man, that's where that name comes from.
So what kind of made you want to speak out about that, and how is it different, maybe just like you're saying it to me now versus putting it in the song? Is there any difference in kind of your kind of internal state versus, rapping it, putting a song versus just speaking it?
For sure. I can be honest and say at this point, not that I'm numb to it, because I'm not. Otherwise, I wouldn't have written about it. I understand it's a very, very sensitive issue, which again is why I chose to write about it, to kind of break that barrier down, as we see a lot of celebrities and people of notoriety starting to do a little more often in the public sphere. Yeah. But I really don't have that much of a hang up or sensitivity personally about it. And I think the reason is I've talked to too many people that have dealt with the same thing to think that, oh, there was just something only wrong with Ryan. Like, nah, man, this happened. I was 19 years old, man. This was a long time ago. And so since then, I really couldn't even count the number of people of different ages, different genders, different race, different socioeconomic background, does not matter. In the church, out the church, doesn't matter. I've just met too many people who have dealt with serious and major depression and anxiety issues. And some people who never fully recover. And the role, or some people that are just, maybe you would never even know, but they're still on the path to healing, as we all are in various ways. But the fact of the matter is, not enough people talk about it. There's a certain stigma to it that I think discourages people from speaking out about it. And I just wonder how many lives could be positively affected if some of that stigma was knocked off and we could just openly be honest, of course, within reason, and just how much healing tends to come when we can speak openly and honestly about our experiences.
Right. So, kind of like you said, there's, a lot of the celebrities are kind of coming out more and more. Do you think that there's kind of more of a stigma within the church? And when you were kind of going through your issues, were you kind of in the church? Were you, a Christian living the Christian life? Did that kind of affect anything at all? Or did it just get better? Did it get better when you kind of came into the faith? Or just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was interesting for me personally. My experience was very much tied to when I very first became a Christian. When I first got saved, we're talking 2000, like within months is when I started actually getting baptized at my home church. Used to be Kansas City Baptist Temple, now Graceway. It's been Graceway for a long time now. But anyway, I got baptized 7/11/2004, July 11, 2004. I think by August, I was dealing with major depression and anxiety, full blown. And so for me, I didn't really have or experience directly that, the church's response to it. I was brand new to the church as far as really being involved in leaders knowing me. By the time I really got involved is when I was definitely on the upside of my healing, which took about 2 years. So it wasn't until about 2006 when I started on the trend to healing. And I say that 2 years, but for some people it's a lifetime. So I do feel blessed in that regard. But I think it depends on the church, to answer your larger question about just, I think it is very important for the church. Some congregations look down upon psychology as a field of study in general. And it drove me to get my bachelor's in psychology. I was an artist, right? But because of what I was dealing with, I'm like, man, I got to figure this thing out. And I want to help other people figure this thing out. So that was the motive behind me switching my major from graphic design to psychology, as I was dealing with it. So,
right.
But not only in the church, but also oftentimes in the Black and minority communities in general, church or not, oftentimes, and maybe even society at large, oftentimes counseling carries a certain stigma.
Yeah.
I will say, I will give props to Graceway leadership for the most part of being very open and welcoming to the idea of counseling and even encouraging it, and using resources outside of the Bible, outside of the four walls, like professional help. Because we get professional help when we break a leg. We don't go to our pastor if we sprain our ankle. We don't go to the deacon when we got a fever. We go to the doctor. Why is that such a bad thing when we have psychological needs? So
yeah, I think that's important. I know at one point I was kind of having issues of my own, and then went on to have bigger issues. But I remember somebody encouraging me to go seek help, and I was just like, I don't want to just go to church and have pastor say, well, just pray about it. I'm like, well, I've been praying about it, and so I think that's important. And one of the things I appreciate about this song, for those who have heard it, or if you haven't heard it, go listen. Just kind of where you talk, and there's kind of a call to action at the end, and there is kind of this, it's not just about praying it away, and it's not, I think it's important to set that out there that I think a lot of times, it's kind of sold that, or the notion is kind of sold that, accept Jesus into your heart, and then, everything's going to be better, and the Bible never promises that. And sometimes it's, not, and sometimes it is rough. And, and so I think it is, important to get past the stigma, because I think even, because I think whether it's explicitly said or not, because even when I went to go see a psychiatrist for, medication, the church I go to now we had just had a whole conference, and they put forth a whole bunch of resources on depression and going to see, to seek out help. And so they didn't look down on it at all. But I remember when I was in there the first time in the waiting room, having kind of this emotional reaction that I wasn't expecting. And it was kind of a mixture of relief and shame just from all this kind of internalized stuff, through the years. So, I definitely really appreciate this song and kind of drawing more attention to it. And, throwing that in there, that it's not just about, we're going to say more prayers, or, God's mad at you, or, you deserve this because you did something wrong. Sometimes there's just some other stuff going on, and it's important to get help. So.
For sure. I don't want to move away from this one too quick, man, and I know we're trying to keep these to a minimum, but I just really want to emphasize, if there's anybody watching this, like, sincerely, and you're struggling, or maybe you don't even know if you're struggling, you've never been diagnosed, never seen a doctor or a counselor or a psychiatrist, and don't wait too long. Don't suffer in silence. And I say this at the end of the song, and I'll tell this to anybody personally, like, man, depression is real. Anxiety is real. Panic attacks are real. They're scary. Even if it's not a clinical depression, whatever you're going through, like, one, I guarantee you're not alone.
Yeah.
And two, I guarantee you there's somebody willing to help. And lastly, before we can move on after this, I also want to emphasize, I don't think there has to be a separation or choice between faith and psychiatry and psychology.
Right.
I'm under the notion, for all the sciences, that they're of God, that God has given man the ability to observe and to study his creation, and including ourselves and our minds and our environment, our social environment, as well as the actual neurology and physiology of our brains. That's all of God. So just like studying the universe is a gift of God, we don't have to separate the reality of what we see in our galaxy and beyond with the fact that Genesis says there was a creator who was the originator of all of this. Like, every time I watch, documentaries of the such, I'm reaffirmed that there must be an intelligent creator, right? And the same with psychology. If we look at the complexity of our brains and of our bodies, and like, I just cannot. I don't have enough faith to accept that that's random. It's right. Too complex. It's too intelligently designed, and I credit that to Christ, man. So again, let's bring the worlds together as they were meant to be, I believe. And yeah, man.
Cool.
I'm done.
No, that's good. No, I told you I was really excited to get to that one, because I think it's important, and I knew we'd have a good conversation. So the next song is Shalom, and this one, correct me if I'm wrong, is the first one where we have a feature. Yeah. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about 21 King, right? Did I get that right?
Yes. Joseph Washington, man.
Came to be.
What's that?
And how that collaboration came to be.
Oh, yeah. So, man, so I had actually been rapping in a group called God's Anointed Soldiers for about 7 years, from about 2006 or so to 2013. And somewhere in that, we hooked up, and I was younger back then, and met an even younger guy who had like a whole crew of dudes with him, including his brother. Super talented, could sing, could rap, just music and art just flowed out of his brain he just breathed it out. And he was a Christian, man. And so we began working together, his crew, my crew. We went under different names, but we were basically the same crew, man. Like, we did so many shows together, with ministry opportunities together, in that 7-year time period. And so when it was, when I decided to start making music again, I mean, he was the first person I thought of, man. The first person I thought of, and it didn't work out. It came to, like, this was the very last song that ended up getting mixed down and completed right before I submitted the album off for distribution. Because he's busy, I'm busy. It just didn't work out. And I even had another guy lined up who even submitted his vocals, but the tempo was off. It just didn't work out. Computers have issues. And so I'm like, bro, I reached back out to 21 King. I'm like, listen, bro, I need a solid. Like, I'm trying to get this album out. And he came through, man. Within a week, he had sent me, had already mixed his vocals, everything, and just sent the files to me. I was able to just throw them in there, polish up the song, and send it off. And that was the very last task as far as the album is concerned. So it ended up working out, man. He's a talented dude.
Yeah, I definitely really like his vocals. Now, did you write the melody there on the part that he sings?
I did. But of course, man, he took it and did more than I could have ever done with it, or asked anybody to have done with it, for that matter. So I did write those lyrics, but he did his thing on there, man.
Yeah, people probably wouldn't guess or realize, if they are familiar with your music, that Ryan would say that he doesn't sing, and he doesn't.
I do not. This is
but
true.
I will say, I think we've talked about it before. I did a song on the Upside EP, and he wrote the melody for that, the words and the melody for that. So Ryan does have a good ear for melodic phrases. So I was kind of wondering. So anyway, so was the decision, as you were kind of deciding on track list order, was the decision to include Shalom after Two Rivers kind of very intentional in the thematic sense?
100%. Right. So, like, Two Rivers and Shalom is like side A and B. They go together.
And I
hand
guess
to hand.
before we get into that, maybe explain what Shalom is, what that word is.
Yes. So Shalom's a biblical, it's a Hebrew word. Let me say that. That is definitely in the Bible, from Hebrew culture, meaning peace, but also completeness, wholeness, and prosperity even. So it's often used amongst people in the Islamic faith, even Muslims, as a like a greeting, like a hello or goodbye type phrase, shalom. But it's just a Hebrew word, and peace is often, today, a very common synonym for shalom. And so yeah, that's the word.
Okay, so then we'll continue into kind of the theme of it, following the A and B side of Two Rivers and Shalom.
Yeah. So, again, going to Two Rivers, and even in the hook on Two Rivers, I talk about how you can have Christ and still not know the river of peace, right? So again, with the analogies, I took the literal name of the psychiatric center that I was at, Two Rivers, and use that as an analogy to say, hey, there's one river to peace, and that's to God. But there's a river that pulls us the other way, away from peace, but at the same time, expressing the reality that we can have Christ and be torn. Kind of this paddling upstream concept, which causes some of the mental confusion or the darkness, is, hey, I'm trying to stream towards Christ, but I still don't have peace because there's these other things in life pulling at me. And so Two Rivers highlights the reality that even as a Christian, and at the time I was a new Christian, but regardless, even as a Christian, if we're honest, there's times where we feel like we have no peace.
Yeah.
But then I did want to show the highlight on the flip side for me personally is that although life is far from roses and far from rays of sunshine every day, very far, the truth of the matter is I can say confidently that I have a peace in Christ that supersedes even my darkest days now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give both sides of that coin with these songs back to back. Like, hey, here's my past. And I want to identify with anybody if that is your present. But I also want to give you a picture of the hope that though this may be your present, there can be, and God does offer peace. There is a path to peace on the other side of that. So I wanted to celebrate that in my life as well.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe reading into this so you can tell me what you think, I guess. But, you know, in the verse 1 of this, you're kind of more talking about, you know, God, Jesus, being the peace in the storm. And then the second verse, you're saying, Lord, I just need to say thank you. And you shout out, you know, your wife, your mom, you know, your brother. So I don't know, for me, I was kind of like looking at that, and it's like, you know, you're looking at God first, you're coming off of two rivers, and he's kind of, you know, like you just described, kind of like, you know, there's a river of peace and a river that kind of takes you away from that. Then kind of in that second verse, sometimes, and this is something I know that I've even struggled with recently, but we probably all have in 2020, but even just kind of that second verse is you saying, hey, I'm actually taking notice of the good when it's there and being grateful for the good when it's there. And that is something that contributes to shalom or peace.
Most definitely. Like it's a simple acknowledgement of, hey, let's pause and take a look at the blessings in our lives. And isn't it interesting that, at least for me, I think for most people, hopefully, it's often the people, it's the relationships, right? You know, all the materialistic things, as much as important as some of them can be, they have a certain place in our lives, but ultimately, I know for me, it's those days when my relationships are jacked up is when my peace is jacked up.
Yeah.
Right. And so just taking the time out, you know, and like any family, we got drama in our family. We've had plenty of drama in our family, but I am grateful, man. I'm grateful that they're still with me, that I can talk to them, I can reach out to them, and vice versa. And they've contributed largely to who I am, man. And you know, my faith wouldn't be what it is without my mom, and my family would probably say the same thing about me, and just how God has, in the midst of the chaos, we've been through a lot, you know. And I'm sure some families gonna be watching this. There's no objection to that fact that we've been through a lot in recent years.
Yeah.
But yet still grateful, still have shalom. Just to say that they're still and we're all in each other's lives still. So just grateful, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. So Ryan is going to put some links to his socials. You'll also be able to see those on and hear them and kind of get the whole rundown in previous episodes. We're going to try and put that in every episode just so you can find the music, find everything that he has going on. And this was episode 3. Stay tuned for episodes 4 and 5. Game over.
Emotion.